Very exciting morning has dawned upon us after yesterday night when we saw one of the most freakish innings ever played in an ODI. Glenn Maxwell's 201, in which he battled cramps. He ensured Australia's win percentage, which was just under 1%. It came back and haunted Afghanistan in such a way that not only are Australia in the semi-finals, but Afghanistan now, unfortunately, their chances of a semi-final spot have been extinguished. Glenn Maxwell played one of the best knocks that you've ever seen in ODIs, and everybody cannot stop talking about it. Leading the praise are two of the greatest players that we have seen, especially if you look at the Indian perspective. Sachin Tendulkar. Sachin Tendulkar put out a tweet stating that this is one of the best ODI innings I have ever seen. Now, coming from Sachin Tendulkar, who himself has played so many masterclasses in this way, it is a big tribute indeed. Virat Kohli also has put out a story on his Instagram wherein he stated, "Only you can do this, G Maxi, freak." Virat Kohli and Sachin Tendulkar have led the praise for what has been truly one of the greatest ever innings that we have seen, not just in 2023, not just in this decade, but potentially in our lifetime. Because even Ricky Ponting, who was on commentary yesterday, Ricky Ponting has also stated that I have been seeing cricket for many years. I've commentated on cricket for years, but I have never seen anything like this. Adam Gilchrist also tweeted, also sent out how mind blown he was by Glenn Maxwell's knock. So, Virat Kohli, Sachin Tendulkar, Ricky Ponting, three of the finest cricketers that we have ever seen, have heaped praise on Glenn Maxwell. I mean, how much ever we look at the highlights, how much ever we try and analyze how did he do it, it just remains a freakish act of nature. Glenn Maxwell indeed has shown the world what kind of a capability he has. And let us again examine the circumstances as to what happened. We repeated it ad nauseum yesterday, but if you look at how it all panned out, he came in at 91 for 7 when Australia's win percentage was less than 1%. He battled cramps. He had an able ally in Pat Cummins who proved himself to be the wall, 12 of 68. And his entire percentage, 12 runs in a partnership of 202, is the lowest ever in history. But how impactful it was. More than numbers, more than all these things, these kind of things matter because Pat Cummins showed that you had to defend, you had to stay in there so that Glenn Maxwell could do what he could do. Then a 202 run stand ensured that Australia won the match and have ensured their place in the semi-final. Sachin Tendulkar calls it the greatest ODI innings he has seen. Virat Kohli dubbed Glenn Maxwell a freak. Ricky Ponting has stated that he's never seen anything like this. The likes of Adam Gilchrist, all the other legends have heaped praise on Glenn Maxwell. So all in all, it is very safe to say that this is one of the greatest ever knocks that we have ever seen. Period. Because Glenn Maxwell has achieved something which many might never be able to do. And Australia, with 6 consecutive wins now, are peaking. So let us look at all the records yet again that Glenn Maxwell's achieved. Second Australian cricketer in history to have scored a double hundred in an ODI. You may be wondering who's the first. It happened in Mumbai 26 years ago. Belinda Clark. Belinda Clark hitting 209 against Denmark, but that was at the Brabant. This is Glenn Maxwell 201 in an ODI World Cup. 2 World Cups, 26 years, same venue. It had to be a freakish kind of an innings. So Belinda Clark and Glenn Maxwell, 2 Australians who have hit double hundreds in an ODI. Glenn Maxwell became the first men's Australian cricketer to hit a double hundred. Second, the first ever double hundred in a successful chase. And the first double hundred in the history of ODIs, 4,696 of them, that has come at 6 or lower. Glenn Maxwell's become the first. The 202 run stand for the eighth wicket is also the highest ever in history. So, Glenn Maxwell and Pat Cummins. Pat Cummins' percentage 5%. In the game that he played against Netherlands, Cummins was there when Glenn Maxwell hit that 40 ball 100. At that time, his percentage was 9 because Glenn Maxwell hit 91 runs, Cummins contributed 8 runs in that partnership. So, truly a remarkable achievement that we saw in Mumbai, and it is continuing to go viral even today. So, Pat Cummins and Glenn Maxwell, especially Glenn Maxwell, the way how he batted, especially without any feat, Maxwell's achieved the ultimate feat. His cramps, his back spasms, whatever happened, he just mentioned like how he could not cope up with the Mumbai heat because he had not done enough practice in that. And because of that, he cramped up. He had a hot day in the field as well. He took 1 wicket, fielded around for 50 overs. After that, he really started, his body started to ensure that it was cramping. So, all in all, we saw a special feat that was achieved against Afghanistan. But Afghanistan, their fans have also not been too harsh on their team. They have supported the team knowing full well that they have punched well above their weight in this World Cup. So, they at least challenged Australia in a much better way than England or Pakistan did, or even Sri Lanka did for that matter. So that's why all the other established nations will have to learn something from Afghanistan for the way how they put up a fight. So, 3 semi-final spots are done. South Africa versus Australia is set. When is the date? Maybe on the 16th. But if Pakistan make it to the semi-final, then it will be India versus Pakistan on November 16th in Kolkata. Australia versus South Africa will happen in Mumbai. So that is the current situation that we have got at this point in time when it comes to the semi-final. Now only one World Cup spot remains in the semi-final. That is between 3 teams: New Zealand, Pakistan, Afghanistan. Now, today there is going to be no bearing on the semi-finals whatsoever, but if England lose today to the Netherlands, then their chances of reaching even the Champions Trophy are bleak because Bangladesh beat Sri Lanka, that's why they're on 4 points. But England, if they lose to the Netherlands today, their chances of Champions Trophy qualification are out in that sense. So today it's England versus Netherlands, which only it's Champions Trophy qualification at stake at this point. Then if you look at all the other things, November 9th, New Zealand versus Sri Lanka. Unfortunately, there is rain predicted that day. 70% chances of rain. In other weather apps, if you look at it, there's 90% chances of rain. So if New Zealand and Sri Lanka game is washed out, then Pakistan just has to win against England. If Afghanistan beats South Africa, but their net run rate has taken such a big hit, it is because of that Afghanistan's chances seem all but over at this point in time. It's a straight shootout between New Zealand and Pakistan. If New Zealand win by whatever margin, say if they win by about 70 to 80 runs, Pakistan will have to win by over 200 runs to ensure that they surpass the net run rate of New Zealand. So, but November 9th, remember, not too much of promise when it comes to the weather. The weather might ruin the New Zealand-Sri Lanka encounter in Bengaluru. Then England versus Pakistan on November 11th. If Pakistan win, New Zealand game is washed out, then Pakistan are through to the semi-final. And because of that, it could be India versus Pakistan on November 16th in Kolkata. Then November 15th, you'll see India and Australia play. So that is the current situation when you have to look at India and you have to look at all the other things. So it is here that Glenn Maxwell's knock of 200 is really assuming a massive importance. Perhaps when you look at the World Cup, this was the moment where Australia had the firm belief that they could go all the way. And so, credit to Glenn Maxwell's Australianism, never giving up, determined. Shoaib Akhtar, in fact, called it the ultimate act of patriotism. He refused to go because he wanted Australia to win. He knew that he would be there. Pat Cummins explained, and even Glenn Maxwell stated that if the physio had to take him back to the dressing room, there was any chance he was going to come back. Clear admission. If Glenn Maxwell went off, he could not have come back. That was the severity of the cramps that he was getting. So, Australia are through to the semi-final thanks to a Glenn Maxwell special. Ricky Ponting, Virat Kohli, Sachin Tendulkar, all leading the tributes in what has been a fantastic, fantastic innings indeed. So today it's England versus Netherlands with only Champions Trophy qualification at stake here. If you want to look at the world of other sports, in the national games that's happening in Goa, Mehuli Ghosh has stamped her authority with a gold. And that is why Mehuli Ghosh is already headed to Paris. She's ensured that her shooting prowess continues. She's secured the gold in the national games representing West Bengal. Then, if you look at other sporting events, there's a lot of stuff happening in the world of football. For example, Jenny Hermoso, the Spanish football player who had complained against Rubiales' kiss, she said that she had received death threats following that. So, that is the further situation that we have got. So, a lot of questions are there about Glenn Maxwell's knock indeed. And I'll take some of Srivatsa Vinjamuru saying, irrespective of the batting pitch, catch drops and luck, this innings requires superhuman abilities. India requires the mindset of Maxwell in a knockout to avoid choking. See, it was superhuman, but I think this Indian cricket team have that mentality that they are not intimidated by anybody. So let's hope that they can continue the anti-choke in the World Cup semi-final that they're going to play. Whether on the 15th or the 16th, we don't know. If New Zealand come, they play on the 15th. If Pakistan come, they play on the 16th. So that's the case. Sir, out of all 200s, which is your favorite? Sir Chandra, after this knock, 201. This has to be my favorite. It is the ultimate knock in cricket. Glenn Maxwell's 201, because it came in a chase. It came under immense pressure. It came under a lot of problems. Fitness issue, unbearable conditions. That's why Glenn Maxwell's knock, the greatest. No other 200 even comes close when you look at impact. So, in that sense, first non-opener scored 200. Yes, KSI, Asati Haru, I did point that out. That yes, the first individual to score a double hundred at 6 or less in that sense. So, can Maxwell play in further games? Yes, he can play in further games. Remember, there is now a gap of 3 days before Australia take on Bangladesh in Pune. Remember, if they win that, they are going to finish at max at second position if South Africa lose to Afghanistan. But remember, Afghanistan has to win by a massive margin to ensure that they can overhaul South Africa. Otherwise, their net run rate probably has signaled the end for their World Cup campaign, unfortunately. So today it is England versus Netherlands. One hopes that they can put up a good show. England, remember, this is their last 2 games. And if England can win both the games, at least Champions Trophy qualification is secured. And there is a lot of call from the England setup. Former cricketers are stating that Ben Stokes should be protected. He should be sent home immediately. Forget these next 2 games. Do you agree with that? Should Ben Stokes play the remaining 2 games? If I was Ben Stokes, you have to be ready for the India Test series that begins in January. You are going home, having surgery and recuperating after that. So that is the way I look at it. And 200 in chases is a rare sight to witness. Indeed, Srivatsa Vinjamuru, indeed it is. So that's why Maxwell's knock is on a different pedestal altogether. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this live. We'll be back with more updates on Sports Today. Tap that bell icon so that when we go live. And don't forget, we're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Thank you.